Hey guys, and welcome back to Dad Plays Stuff. Now today we are going to discuss competitive battling and how you can get yourself started in terms of items. I already have a video related to the breeding of Pokemon for battles, so there will be a link down in the description to that video. So the basics of battling in Pokemon games has not changed a great deal in the past 20 years that it's been around. You basically build a team of 6 Pokemon, you use varying types, a combination of different abilities, items, and moves on each Pokemon in order to beat your opponent. Now, the fact is there is no perfect Pokemon, no perfect typing, and certainly no perfect strategy. And my personal opinion is that given the right person, the right circumstances, you can make just about any Pokemon viable as long as the scenario is preferable and the team is built to work around that scenario. So to start out, let's assume you've either watched my video on breeding or you understand how it works already in terms of mechanics, in terms of EVs, IVs, abilities, that kind of thing. You have the Pokemon you want to use, but you don't have the items you want to put on them. Now there's a lot of in-game items that are viable to run on each Pokemon, depending on their sets, and the first and easiest to get are berries. These have abilities ranging from replenishing health, to giving you stat boosts, and also things like damage reduction on specific types of move, like fire type for example. Now these can be found on any tree that can be interacted with in game, and different berries drop in different areas depending on weather and all that kind of thing. So checking every tree you encounter is a good idea. The next method is a lot more simple, as you can do it anywhere and it just depends on the Pokemon that are in the battle themselves, and that is max raid battles. Almost every time you defeat or capture a Pokemon, you get a berry or two at the end. Now, I have a max raid battle addiction. It's part of one of my shiny hunting methods, and I have hundreds of each berry. If you do what I do in terms of that, you're going to get loads of them, and I would 100% recommend it. Now, berries activate in 2 different ways. Once your HP drops to a certain percentage, usually 25% of your HP, or a specific type of move is used, the berry will be activated. These items can only be used once per battle, unless you use a move like Recycle, which basically replenishes the berry on your Pokemon. Now, something to be aware of with berries is that during your general playthrough of the game, if a berry is used by your Pokemon in battle, or against that Pokemon in the wild, or trainers, that kind of thing, after the battle you are going to have to equip another one. However, battles via Wi-Fi or online, max raid battles, the battle tower, when your berry's used up in the battle, it's used up solely for that battle. The next battle on, you can reuse that berry, it's still equipped there. So that's the thing to be aware of. If you're fighting stuff outside of the kind of competitive sort of mechanics, or the multiplayer mechanics, probably the better way to explain it, then the berries will be used. The same can be said for any consumable item that can be attached to your Pokemon. Now, with the mentioning of consumable items, these are single-use items like berries. They're usually activate on specific event. The most commonly used ones that tend to be frequently seen in battles tend to be Weakness Policy and Focus Sash. Now, Policy activates upon your opponent using a super effective move to hit your Pokemon, and what it does is it increases your special attack and your attack by 2 stages, whereas Focus Sash will basically save your Pokemon from being one-shotted. So if it's at full health and would normally have died to an attack, it will activate Focus Sash, the Focus Sash will break, and then the Pokemon will basically survive with 1 HP. It's essentially a item version of the Sturdy ability. Now, these aren't the only consumable battle items. However, it would take too long to go through them all, and if you want more on these kind of topics, I'd recommend just leaving it down in the comments below. I can either answer it there, or I can make more videos if, people want that kind of thing. Next up, we have the bulk of the items, the non-consumable, constant effect ones. As with other items we've spoke about, these all have varying effects, and some even have downsides to using them. So for example, the most prominent ones that you come across tend to be choice items. Now these each boost a specific stat, and in the case of Choice Scarf, it increases your speed. However, once you've chosen a move, you basically cannot change away from that. So if you've used Blizzard, you can only use Blizzard for the rest of the battle until your Pokemon either switches out or the item is removed. And that could be removed using Knockoff or Trick, which quite often people use with Choice Scarf or Choice Specs to either trick the item onto a Pokemon that would generally be able to be quite good at swapping its moves out and doing some damage, or swapping an item onto it that is completely useless, like giving a physical Pokemon Choice Specs because Choice Specs boosts its special attack. Now, another item is Life Orb, which gives you a significant boost to your damage, whether it's special or physical, and it's around 30%, I believe. But every time you use the Life Orb, it will reduce your health by 10%. However, there's ways around that as well. Clefable has the ability Magic Guard. Now, if you use that in tandem with a Life Orb, Clefable's ability stops any damage that isn't directly from attack. So, you basically get a free 30% damage boost. There's also Pokemon with Sheer Force. Now, there's a massive list of moves that work with the ability Sheer Force, but if you use one of those moves with Sheer Force and a Life Orb, it not only negates the effect of the move's secondary ability and boosts its damage by, I think it's 30% as well, to be honest. Then you get the Life Orb's boost by another 30%, and then it takes off the 10% HP reduction. So you get a massive boost in damage for free. There's a lot of items that have kind of different things you can use with that. So for example, it's not all stat boosts, and you can get ones that are just entirely negative effects, such as Lagging Tail, which instead of helping you, forces your Pokemon to move last every turn. Now, whilst objectively that's bad, you can pair it with a Pokemon with, again, the move Trick, and if you then pair that with the ability Prankster, which then makes all non-attacking moves go first, then you can trick a Pokemon Lagging Tail before it's even moved. So even if it did kill you that turn, it's still going to move last for the rest of the game unless it can get the item off. So different items work in different ways on different Pokemon, and it's finding these specific items that's the ideal kind of thing to do. So as you can see, the general idea of battling is a combination of balancing your items versus your abilities and your Pokemon that you're using in general. Now, we've went to the where to get the berries. They're everywhere and readily available, and it's easy to get multiples of each. The rest of the items in game are, however, to an extent more difficult to find. They're scattered around the game in different locations, such as different routes, random caves, little secret paths, patches of grass, sometimes NPCs and houses that you need to speak to and or battle to get these items. Some of them are unique in the game, unfortunately. You do have things like Rocky Helmet and your Eviolite, which are only available from one NPC in the Eviolite's case, and I believe the Rocky Helmet's in a cave, off the top of my head. So it's unfortunate you can't get more than one of them. However, the majority of the items can be found in one convenient location, and when I say majority of the items, I mean the competitive ones, and that would be in the post-game Battle Tower. Now, the tower works in a pretty simple fashion. You challenge the tower, you take on a series of battles. If you win, you gain some battle points, and once you've got enough of the BP, you can spend them on items from the vendor. Now, when you first challenge the tower, you'll notice that it has like a tier ranking system. You start off in Pokeball Tier 1, and as you battle in rising tiers, you gain a large amount of BP. Each tier has a very specific amount of BP you get, and each battle has a very, you get 2 BP per battle, but you get increasing amounts of BP per tier that you go up. Now, incidentally, that's actually exactly how the ranked battle system works online, and it's a good little practice for it. And once you've managed to get to Master Ball tier, which is the highest tier, you'll have accumulated over 200 BP roughly, and you can do this twice. You can do it for singles and for doubles. However, any further battles will just give you a very specific amount per battle. So 2 per regular trainer, and then there's Leon stacked in there for about 6 BP, I think, off the top of my head. I could be way off with that. Now, there's an easy way and potentially a harder way when you take on the Battle Tower. You can, of course, go in with your own team, and if you have a competitive team already set up, then you're going to have no problems. If you're using your in-game team that you've used for the playthrough, you might have an issue. It really depends on what you were using and what your kind of general setup was. But if you're feeling lazy, and I felt lazy when I originally went for the Battle Tower, you can use a rental team from the gentleman on the screen, and you want to borrow his skill team. Now, essentially what you do is you use the relevant Pokemon, set up with their boosting moves, and then sweep. It's pretty simple. Your opponents also don't Dynamax. I think only Leon Dynamaxes, so in that case just take that into consideration. The rest of them don't, so you can just obliterate them with a Dynamax Gyarados basically. Now after this you should be able to farm, or for the most part have the items that you need to start competitive battles, with an exception of a few. That's the basic gist of how to get the items for the most part. There are a lot of different ones that you aren't going to get from these vendors specifically, but there are plenty of sources of where to find them. If you'd like me to make a video of the specific ones, then don't forget to leave a comment down below about it. The ones that come to mind that are most people are definitely going to use are things like heavy duty boots, Eviolite, and your Rocky helmets. There is also leftovers. Leftovers can be farmed in game, so they're actually not much of a real issue. Anywho, if you enjoyed the video and it informed you of how to get items that you were desperate for your battles, don't forget to leave a like, a comment and subscribe, and hit that bell notification down below to be alerted whenever I upload. And if you want to know about how to breed Pokemon and get the EVs, IVs and abilities that you want, don't forget to click the link down below in the description for my breeding video. Anywho guys, have a great evening and good luck with your future battles.